This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sophia Yvette.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Are you in need of an injury lawyer? Well, one may be closer than you think. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing your good neighbor, Rich Hyde with Trial Tribe Injury Lawyers. Rich, it is great to have you on today. Now, we are so excited to learn all about you and your business. Please start off by telling our listeners just a little bit more about your company.
Bad things happen. And oftentimes, more oftentimes than not, there's really no such thing as, oh, it's just an accident. Usually there's negligence. Usually there's something that's done wrong. And in our civil justice system, the way we make things right is the only way a civil justice system can, and that is compensation. But your average listener is not really going to get a fair shake from the insurance companies and big corporations out there. Why? Because, well, if they lowball you or don't offer you anything, if they leave you high and dry, what are you going to do about it? Hence, the role of the injury lawyer. We are, without us, you're pointing a gun at the other side that they already know is unloaded. We are the bullets. We make them play fair. We keep things in balance. So whether you call me an ambulance chaser or you think I'm an advocate, I keep things in balance. And I don't need to tell your listeners that corporations and insurance companies are greedy. So balance is good.
Most definitely. And just from how you're talking about this subject, I can tell, it's really hitting home for you. So how did you originally get into this industry?
I'm not a victim myself, but I am very passionate about it. I've always been guided by this innate sense of fairness. People would say things like, life's not fair. And that never sat right with me. It's, you got to make it fair. You got to do what you can to make it fair. Now, I really didn't get into injury law right out the gate. When I graduated from the University of Texas, I was actually in commercial disputes, which are businesses fighting. I was at a bigger law firm, and well, to be quite honest with you, I got fired from that law firm when I threatened to kick another attorney's, can I say ass? Literally, I did want to fight him, and I was promptly fired. So after that, to my surprise, maybe I shouldn't have been so surprised, but I was essentially blackballed from all the other firms. So I had to take a pay cut, go to take a job with someone who was willing to give me one that was an injury lawyer. And I thought of injury law like a lot of people think of it. And I thought it was like, oh, they get their clients to fake injuries. It's kind of lowbrow. And then I get into it and I realized this was God's calling for me the entire time. This was, I love it. It is fulfilling for me. It is what I was put on this earth to do. That's how I got into it. So if God's plan was for me to threaten to fight someone, get fired, who am I to question it? Because I am absolutely where I need to be.
Well, he always has a way of making everything work for, the better. So thank you for sharing that story with us. Now, today in your industry, I'm sure you come across many misconceptions, but which one would you like to put to rest today?
Which one? Probably the one about us representing people that aren't actually injured. That's the one that people think about a lot. It's like that we have, first of all, in the movies, you have the client sitting in the courtroom for the trial and they have their neck brace on, and it's always a client that's not really injured. First of all, by the time we get to trial, it's oftentimes years after this accident. They're not going to still have that neck brace. And we don't represent non-injured people. There are very objective ways of measuring injuries. And there is a whole industry called the injury defense industry that is there to make certain that those cases are thrown out before we get to a trial. So no, we don't just hire anyone off the street. There have to be legitimate injuries, and the system is designed to weed out people that fake injuries.
So, Rich, would you say your ideal clientele is just injured people who get in accidents? Tell me a little bit more about who that is and
Yeah, I
how you
would.
work with them.
It's a little more granular. It's a little bit more qualified than that. It sounds tacky almost, because my ideal client is someone with a big injury, but that's the truth. That's I don't know how else to say it. And it can't just be any injury from anything. There has to be someone else at fault, right? That somebody else has to be at fault. The client can't be at fault themselves. You can't slip in your own bathtub, and then who do you sue? Or who do you make a claim against? There's nothing there. Not even with your own insurance, you can't do that. So you have to have a significant injury. That's ideal for my business. There has to be someone at fault. Then the third thing is there's got to be an ability to pay, because these cost tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to take all the way to a trial. And that most of them settle, and most of them settle early, and most of them aren't going to be trial cases or cases that we want to take to trial. But but there's got to be an ability to pay no matter what. Usually the number one type of case is a car accident, car wreck. And we have to have auto insurance if we follow the law. If we have a driver's license and we operate a vehicle on the road, we have to have liability insurance. Here in Texas, that's $30,000. Not everyone follows that law, but if you want to have an injury claim, you probably need, there likely has to be insurance, because most people don't have the assets to cover that liability. The big assets that people do have, like they own, a lot of people own a vehicle and a home. Well, we can't go after those. Those are protected from personal injury lawsuits and other debt collections. So it usually comes down to, is it a big company or do they have insurance? Does the other side have insurance? And if they have insurance, how much insurance do they have? So you take all that, the ability to pay, and then liability, someone else is at fault, and then injury. Those are at a minimum what I have to have a case. So no, it's not just any injured person. Though I do get a lot of calls from people with like crazy stuff, like I found a hair in my food at McDonald's. It's part of the business, teaching people what makes a good injury claim.
So you definitely work on those qualifying factors before you just take on a client. Now, how are you attracting these clients once, you go through this whole system, they qualify, how are you staying in front of them?
I'm going to go on the Good Neighbor podcast and get my name out there. I'm going to go and spend a small fortune with Google and other marketing companies that work on my website. And that is probably actually my biggest expense is marketing. And it's not all one channel. 99.9% of what we do, and this is the truth, because I'm all about just brutal honesty and laying it out there. 99.9% of the game in personal injury is getting the case. Okay. What the consumer, that is the injured person, doesn't realize is that not all injury firms are the same. Really, smaller is better for the consumer. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go to the big firms with the billboards. They have machined processes to churn you out like cattle in a slaughterhouse. And you're ultimately going to end up with less because of that business structure. You want to go with places like Trial Tribe. I know I'm biased, but it's true. Find people with real trial experience, people with smaller firms that handle, instead of taking a mile wide, inch deep approach, find places like my firm that are an inch wide, mile deep, where we really work up those cases. We learn about the clients' lives, how they've been impacted. So it's all the same because we all charge the same contingency fee.
Have you ever thought about having your own podcast or another vehicle to get the word out there more about your business and the different ways that you help clients?
It's been suggested, but frankly, I think I'm already pressed for time, and there's enough podcasts out there. I think I'd rather appear than try to host my own. But I do think it's fascinating how fast it's catching on. So
Now,
maybe I'll open. Hopefully, I can find the time for it.
final question for you today. You have shared so much great information with the listeners, but what they really want to know is where can they go to learn more about Trial Tribe Injury Lawyers?
Yes, if you want a good law firm, personal injury law firm in Texas that represents victims and personal injury and wrongful death, the law firm is Trial Tribe. Trial, like attorneys go to trial. Tribe, like an Indian tribe. TrialTribe.com, or call 817-400-5000. Or if you want to do it by email, it's just win@trialtribe.com. But rest assured, the channels are in place. If you want to find me, you'll find me, or one of the attorneys at my firm. My name is Rich Hyde. It'll probably navigate you to the same place if you search it.
Well, Rich, I really appreciate you being on the show today. We wish you and your business the best moving forward.
Thank you, Sophia. Have a great day. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpfrisco.com. That's gnpfrisco.com, or call 469-221-9345.